back down and shut your trap. It's time for
Keeping It Sports with M3.
Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Well, I'll need some beer.
Are you ready?
You have to ask me nicely.
Come on now, don't be bashful.
Are you ready? Are you ready for
Place for the best sports talk and news surrounding each league.
I can prove it with my usual flawless logic.
Hey, man, this time I'm going to do it my way.
What's your name again?
And now, here's your host, M3, Mike Rosansky. Coming to you from Freehold, New Jersey. It's time for Keeping It Sports with M3, usually powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everything's going well for you here on this Tuesday, the third day of September. How's it going out there? Hope you are all having a great day. Hope you all had a very relaxing, enjoyable Labor Day weekend, whatever it may have been you were doing, whether it be hanging out with family, hanging out with friends, or much like myself, you wanted to keep things low-key and kind of just relax, think about what is kind of viewed as the unofficial last few days of summer as we start to get into the thick of things here now, with us coming toward the end of the Major League Baseball regular season. If you're someone out there that has children, they're about to go back to school. But all of that is going to be kind of wiped away, pushed to the side. All of that angst, end of summer vacations, going to be pushed to the side in a little less than 48 hours, as it's finally time. It's finally that time of year that we wait for, that time of year that we desire. And of course, I'm talking about the start of the NFL season. See, no sports season do we live, breathe, die, and maybe that's too strong of a word to use, but do our emotions get enthralled so much for than the NFL season? Because in Major League Baseball, you can't take every one game too seriously. There's 162 of them. NHL and NBA, you can't do that because there's 82 of them over the course of a 6-month season. The NFL is different. The NFL is like 17 separate holidays all crammed into a 4.5-month span. Sundays, or if your team happens to play on Monday night or Thursday night, are treated like a moment where you just stop everything that you're doing, everything that's going on in your life, unless there's someone seriously sick or a life is on the line, gets brushed to the side, and for 3 hours you sit there and you pay attention to your football team. It doesn't matter if you're a fan of a team that is projected to be outright dog shit this year. Even if you're a fan of a team such as the New England Patriots or the Tennessee Titans or Carolina Panthers or Arizona Cardinals, teams that don't have high expectations coming into this season. Even with that, you get excited for football. You get excited for 17 Sundays of a sport that, for some reason, captures our emotion, captures our attention unlike any other. Because with baseball, you could get bored over the time in between pitches. Maybe there's some out there that aren't basketball fans because they don't like the sound of the dribbling of the basketball. Or there are some out there that can't get into hockey because they find the puck is too hard to find on the ice while watching the game. But football is different. Football, something about guys trying to overpower another human being, guys trying to outwill another human being all over a brown football, the weirdest shaped of all of the sports objects in the 4 major sports. Something about it has always made us love it. Something about us has always driven us to craziness and driven it to us having the most love for our football team that we have for any of the sports teams we root for. I mean, as I said, it's something that really can't be explained, but it's something we look forward to every September. We're somewhat heartbroken unless a rival wins the Super Bowl when it ends in February. And then we've gotten to the point where from March till August, when preseason begins, where we're still, even with no games going on, non-stop talking about football. Now, in a lot of cases, it's because the players create a lot of fun, interesting, sometimes obnoxious storylines for us to talk about. Whether it be a team like the Steelers having a quarterback battle that really did not seem like a quarterback battle. It felt like the entire time, unless Russell Wilson tripped and injured himself in the preseason, that he was going to win the job over Justin Fields. Then there's when you get these anonymous polls that are put out there by whether it's scouts, general managers, or it's ESPN doing these polls, Fox Sports, CBS, any of these outlets. And they do these rankings of players. They do their top 100 players. Then they also poll the players. You get some stupid things such as Josh Allen last week being voted the most overrated player in the NFL by his contemporaries. And the only thing that I can think of as to why he got that distinction, even though he was ranked in the top 10 as far as top 100 players ranking by all of these outlets, is the fact that he's one of the highest paid players in the league, but he seems to have a kryptonite, and that's not taking his team to the Super Bowl. Problem is, every single time he's gotten close, he's run into that demon that every team is trying to overcome, and that is called Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. You can't tell me if you're a fan of, I would say at least probably 23 teams out there, that you wouldn't just throw your quarterback to the side and take Josh Allen as your quarterback. It's not just Allen that has the Mahomes problem. Look at Mahomes' opponent this coming Thursday, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is 57-15 in his career, unless he's playing either the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Kansas City Chiefs. He's 2-4 against the Steelers, and he's 1-4 against the Kansas City Chiefs, led by Patrick Mahomes. We don't give him nearly the amount of crap that we give Josh Allen. And Lamar Jackson is a 2-time league MVP, has had plenty of chances in the postseason, has not faced Patrick Mahomes nearly as much as Josh Allen has had to face Patrick Mahomes in the postseason, and he has countlessly fallen on his face. But we don't give him that same kind of crap. We don't give him that kind of disparity. So this is something that all of the league has got to get past. And it's a demon that 31 general managers try to put their rosters together each off season to try to overcome. Because look at the start that Mahomes is off to in his career. We are now going into his 7th year as a starting quarterback. In all 6 of those years, he's been to the AFC Championship game. In 4 of those years, he's gone to the Super Bowl, and in 3 of them, he's won the Super Bowl. He is on the precipice of possibly leading a team to their 3rd consecutive Super Bowl championship. But that's not the only thing that's going on. That's not the only thing that we're locked into and paying attention to. During the offseason, it seemed like every time you turned around, one of these wide receivers was out there screaming about their contract. It seemed like from the moment the Eagles spent to give Devontae Smith his new contract extension, one after another, whether it be Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Waddle, A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb. We saw how long that saga went on for. All of these guys were out there causing some kind of stink for a new deal. Listen, I'm all for the players getting paid. In the NFL, we know it stands for not for long. If you've got the leverage to get your money, use it. Sometimes some guys use it in all of the wrong ways, Hassan Reddick. But if you've got the leverage against a team, use it. Well, the latest, should we say, NFL nightmare came to an end in the last couple of days, and that was the Brandon Ayuk saga, as he signed a brand new contract with the San Francisco 49ers that will keep him in San Francisco through the 2028 season. He's inked a deal for 4 years, $120 million, $76 million guaranteed, and he'll get $47 million before April 1st of next year, making him now the 7th wide receiver to sign a new deal since the end of last season, and making him now the 8th player on the San Francisco 49ers that is making at least $15 million a year, which is why I've been stating for months the pressure is on this team. There is no team, whether you want to throw Lamar Jackson and the Ravens out there, Joe Burrow and the Bengals, Allen and the Bills, but there is no team in the NFL, in my mind, that is under more pressure to win the Super Bowl this year than the San Francisco 49ers. With the amount of money that they have put into this team, with how noisy they've been this offseason, with Ayuk and whether he was going to get a new deal or he was going to be traded. Now the Trent Williams saga, that seeming like it's coming to an end as he and his agent are back in California to work out a new deal with the 49ers. McCaffrey missed most of training camp due to a calf strain, although he's been back at practice this week. And they're still not paying their quarterback. Brock Purdy's only making, about $1 million this year, and that's chump change for an NFL player. You've got all of these stars on this team. A coach in Kyle Shanahan who is as highly regarded as any coach in this sport. And add on top of that, you've lost 2 Super Bowls to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the last 4 years. At some point, tomorrow doesn't come for teams. At some point, we saw it with the Bills in the 90s. You can't keep saying, oh, we're going to get them next time. Next year will be our moment. Eventually, that moment will not come for your team. Eventually, that next year may not happen. You will start to see crazy things happen. You will start to see injuries that could derail your team, or guys seeking new deals and forcing their way out of situations. You won't have as star-studded a roster as what the San Francisco 49ers are currently presenting. Quite frankly, as a New York Jet fan and the team that unfortunately has to face them first this season, I am not the happiest person in the world at seeing all of this positivity happen for the 49ers this week. Would have preferred Trent Williams and Ayuk waited till, say, next Tuesday to agree to new deals, but that doesn't take away from my excitement for the NFL season. It shouldn't take away, no matter, as I said earlier, how bad your team projects to be. It shouldn't ever take away from your excitement for the football season. Hell, even as someone who roots for a team in the New York Jets that hasn't made the postseason in the last 13 years. I was barely over the legal drinking age the last time they made the playoffs in the 2010-2011 season. Even as someone who 6 years ago made the questionable decision in becoming a New York Jets season ticket holder, going to games, and now having to suffer through sitting near people that I used to be friends with and now can't stand their existence on this earth and will have to tolerate being around for 8 games this year. Even with all of that and all of the negativity that constantly flies around the Jets, I'm excited. I'm amped up for this season. I'm hopeful. I'm remaining, or at least trying to remain, optimistic that this is the year that things come together and the Jets finally make the playoffs. And that's how every team should feel, because this league, it's an any given Sunday sport. And especially when you look at the fact that nobody plays any starters in training camp anymore. You never know what to expect with these teams. That's why with all of these things, whether it be gambling or knockout pools, week 1 is the hardest thing to predict. I'm looking at the schedule right now. Quite frankly, I don't know how to really judge this schedule and say that someone can't just come out of nowhere, win week 1, and that set them off for momentum for the rest of the season. Like, for example, I've got my friend Ryan here commenting on the Facebook live stream, him trying to tell me that the Giants are going to win 11 games this year when he's out of his freaking mind. They're going 7-10 at best. But remember, 2 years ago, we thought that they were going to be a crap team. We thought in the first year of Brian Daboll that it was going to be a complete rebuild situation, that they were going to just use that year as setting themselves up for getting their next quarterback in the draft. And what happened? They had that remarkable late fourth quarter win against the Tennessee Titans, and that kind of sprung them forward for a surprisingly good year, even winning a playoff game. Now, I think most Giant fans are more sensible than this clown predicting 11 wins. But hey, be optimistic. Be positive. Think about greater things to possibly come, because it's football. We all love it for varying degrees. That's why, even despite the greed, even despite the ridiculousness of these NFL owners, with them putting games on Peacock like Friday night between the Eagles and the Packers, or after Thursday night, every game on Thursday night going forward will be on Amazon Prime, or on Christmas when we're going to have a double header on Netflix. Even with all of that nonsense, we still watch. We still love the sport. We still sit there and are amazed by it. And like I said, treat it as a holiday every given Sunday or Monday or Thursday, whatever day your team happens to be playing that given week. So be excited, be ready, and be happy, because we are just a mere 48 hours away from the greatest show in the world, the NFL season, getting started. Despite all of the nonsense that can surround this sport, with guys foolishly getting arrested off the field, contract disputes, certain people giving a damn about the sport because of what pop star a certain player is dating. At the end of the day, it's still football. We love it. and it's something that drives our emotions every year from September through February. All right, going to take a break here, but I've got a lot to talk about this week. Clearly, give you some thoughts on a decision that the Giants made last week that I thought was very questionable. Mixing some thoughts about Caitlin Clark, a questionable roster decision by the New York Yankees. So a lot I want to get to over the next 40 minutes here. Glad you guys could join me this week. And as I tell you, each and every single week at this time, please sit back, relax, hell, put your feet up if you feel like it, and continue keeping it sports with M3.
I'll be back.
I hope all of you out there had a very relaxing, enjoyable Labor Day weekend, because as we've seen over the last couple of days, nothing's guaranteed in life. As we've seen these last couple days, this last week, there's a lot of craziness out there. And while we really need to take this thing called life, grab it by the throat, and enjoy it to the fullest, because nothing's guaranteed. Hell, tomorrow for none of us, and I realize this sounds very cryptic, and I'm not by any means a suicidal person, so please don't be worried about me if you're hearing this. Tomorrow by no means is guaranteed for any of us. And we all have to really appreciate everything while it's here. Now, I was mentioning in the first segment the San Francisco 49ers, everything that's gone well for them this week, with getting McCaffrey back at training camp, with it looking like a deal for Trent Williams is going to be done any moment now. Also, with them getting Brandon Ayuk's contract extension done and settled, and him likely going to play on Monday night. But a lot of that covers up what, to me, is the story that can't be forgotten this week when it comes to the San Francisco 49ers. The story that can't be ignored, and that's their rookie wide receiver, Ricky Pearsall, being placed on non-football injury list on Monday, just 2 days after he was shot in the chest during an attempted robbery in San Francisco. We're talking about a kid here who's 22, 23 years old, was just drafted by the 49ers in the first round of this past April's draft. Probably amped up, pumped up about the start of this season, ready to get his NFL career underway. And he's just innocently walking around town, kind of hanging out on Saturday afternoon around Union Square in San Francisco. A 17-year-old who's attempting to rob him comes up to him. They get in a struggle and it shoots him. Thank God he didn't kill him. Thank God the bullet somehow, some way, miraculously went through Pearsall on the side of his chest, didn't hit any major arteries or organs or something that could burst and kill him, and pretty much somehow went through his body. And I was just astounded when I watched the aftermath video and saw that on his own power, he was able to walk to the ambulance. It's just crazy out there, folks. This kind of shit, unfortunately, can happen to anyone, whether you're your average Joe like me or a rookie in the NFL. And it doesn't seem like he was the target of being a professional football player. Just had a 17-year-old psychopath here who really didn't give a damn who he was going to take out. Just wanted to steal from somebody. Thankfully, this kid, well, who knows when he's going to play football, thankfully, he has his life still in front of him. And that's a lot more than I can say about NHL star Johnny Gaudreau, who, ladies and gentlemen, I've teased this the last couple of weeks, but if you know me, you would know that last Thursday was my 36th birthday. And Thursday night, after having dinner, relaxing, I fell asleep on the couch and woke up at around 1 a.m. looking at all of my social media feeds before going to bed, as I tend to do each night, scrolling through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and I came across this random Twitter account that was claiming Johnny Gaudreau of the Columbus Blue Jackets was killed earlier that evening. And I'm thinking, all right, this can't be true. Let's pray that this is just some psychopath that wants to play some kind of really cruel prank on everybody on social media. And even despite how awful Elon Musk runs Twitter, within the next couple of hours, he'll have this guy kicked off for making these kind of claims. But then when I woke up Friday morning to see that both Johnny and his brother were killed on Thursday evening, it was like the world stopped. It was like really everything that mattered in life just really didn't matter anymore. Because, listen, I'm a fan of all four professional sports. Whenever you hear a living, active professional athlete or someone famous in any walk of life that is that young have their life taken from them at just 31 years old, and in the case of his brother Matthew, 29 years old, it just makes you sick. It makes you brokenhearted. Like, there's no words to describe how disgusted I was when I found out this news, especially when I come to find out that they were just out for a simple bike ride on Thursday night down in Oldman's Township, New Jersey. And at about 8:20 p.m., they were both run over by a driver named Sean Higgins, who, as we're coming to find out now, was under the influence of alcohol, claims to have drank about 5 or 6 alcoholic beverages that night before getting behind the wheel. He was arrested and charged with 2 counts of death by auto, along with reckless driving, possession of an open container, and consuming alcohol in a motor vehicle. And then you add to it the details that both Johnny and his brother Matt were in the area. Even though they grew up in this area, they both live elsewhere, with Johnny being a member of the Columbus Blue Jackets. They were in the area because they were going to be the groomsmen for their sister Katie's wedding on Friday in Philadelphia. It's such a heartbreaking thing, because I think we exaggerate this a lot whenever a professional athlete in any of the 4 major sports passes away, especially someone who's an active professional athlete. But there's a reason why Johnny Gaudreau had the nickname Johnny Hockey. He was fantastic to watch, whether it be his first 9 years in the league with the Calgary Flames. The last 2, while it wasn't the greatest in the world playing for the Columbus Blue Jackets because he didn't have a lot of quality around him, this guy, from the moment he stepped onto the ice, showed that he was made to be a star. He was a multi-time All-Star, was a star in college, including winning 2 straight Hockey East Player of the Year awards and the 2014 winner of the Hobie Baker Award, which goes to the top men's college player in the nation. And it wasn't like he was an overwhelmingly large individual. He was, around my size, 5'9", $180, but he overcame his physical disadvantages and turned himself into one of the best players in this sport. Scored 20-plus goals in a season 6 times, was nearly a point-per-game player with 743 points in 763 regular season games. It's a huge loss for the NHL, but even more so, it's a huge loss for the Gaudreau family, because I mentioned him and his brother Matt were in the area to be groomsmen for their soon-to-be brother-in-law in him marrying their sister Katie. So you go from what should be one of the most glorious days of their life, with their sister having her hopefully happily ever after, to now a girl losing both of her older brothers, parents losing their sons, Johnny's wife Meredith becoming a widow, and their 2 children, Noah and Johnny, now having no father. Even beyond him dying, this family is destroyed. This family should have had the happiest moment in their life last week. And instead, they're now burying 2 brothers, sons, fathers, and all because this stupid, and stupid may not even be a good enough word to describe it, but this awful piece of garbage, Sean Higgins, felt the need to go out and drive while under the influence of alcohol. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not that hard to have the Uber app or call a taxi. I know I'm dating myself there. Or phone a friend. Somebody, some way, shape, or form. There is never an excuse to get behind the wheel of any operating vehicle, whether it's a car, pickup truck, motorcycle, whatever mode of transportation it is. You do not get behind as the operating driver of that vehicle under that much influence of alcohol, under, hell, any influence of alcohol. I don't even like when I go to sporting events, unless I've got someone else driving for me that night, or I know I'm going to be picked up at a train station somewhere. I don't like to drink when I go to Yankee games or go to Jet games or wrestling events, because I'm afraid that even one may be one too much. And now, because of this heartless piece of crap, Sean Higgins, his reckless decision-making, it has destroyed a family forever. And quite frankly, jail's not good enough for Sean Higgins. I hope he's in jail for a short amount of time, because I hope that the inmates there make his life so miserable that it comes to an end very soon. And quite frankly, if that does happen, he deserves it, because you destroyed the Gaudreau family. Johnny, Matt, the entire NHL family is thinking about you, thinking about the Gaudreau family. You're gone way too soon for reasons beyond your control. And everybody out there either watching this or listening to this, please, it's not that hard to call an Uber. Not that hard to find some mode of transportation. Please don't ever get behind the wheel of a car, truck, whatever, under the influence of alcohol, drugs, whatever it may be. Because you're not just hurting yourself, you also can destroy a family, as this piece of garbage did here. Rest in peace, Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau. I was a bit surprised by the decision-making of the hierarchy of the New York Giants last week. You know, I used to view the New York Giants as this very classy organization, as an organization that seemed to do all of the right things. But I'm beginning more and more as the years go on here to realize that was the Wellington-era New York Giants that knew how to do the right thing. That was the pre-millennium New York Giants that knew how to handle things as a class organization. What the Giants did last week, well, I don't believe it's going to affect things as far as win-loss is concerned. I was very surprised that they went this route. As we know, they have this young potential star receiver in Malik Nabers that they selected 6th overall in this past year's NFL draft. One thing that fans were beginning to wonder is what Malik Nabers' number was going to be on his jersey, because he wasn't going to be able to wear 9, as that was already claimed by Graham Gano. He couldn't wear 8 because that was already worn by quarterback Daniel Jones, even though he wore 8 at LSU. And most of the rest of the single-digit numbers are either being used by other players or are retired. The route they chose to go is a route that it feels uncomfortable. It feels kind of dirty. That they unretired the number 1, that being retired for the late defensive end Ray Flaherty, for Malik Nabers to wear. Now, they went through the Flaherty family first before doing this. They didn't just say, oh, the number's unretired, we're going to give it to you. John Mara reached out to the Flaherty family several weeks ago. But here's where I get annoyed with the Giants, because initially Malik Nabers was told, no, that should have been the end of it. And you should have really worked out some kind of deal with Graham Gano for the number 9, because Graham Gano is a kicker. He doesn't have the potential for long staying power as Malik Nabers. Malik Nabers could be a star. Graham Gano, as we know, kickers get cut and replaced all the time. But for them then to change route on that, and John Mara essentially put pressure on the Flaherty family. They were kind of put in an uncomfortable position, because initially they said no. Mara goes back to him and talks to the family again, essentially puts pressure on them by saying, quote, there might be someone alive from your dad's era that played, that's from that time area. They were so small they wouldn't remember. Said that it'd be a good way to get his name back out there. And you put this family in a position where they had to have a vote as a family to decide. And the fact that it took them like 3 weeks tells me that there was disputing in that family. There was back and forth conversation in that family where half the family was probably saying no, half the family was probably saying okay to it. Like, why put these people in that kind of spot? Why put them in that kind of uncomfortable position? Is this going to be your response going forward when it comes to retired numbers? And for all those people who are Giant fans out there, they're saying, oh, who cares? Let me ask you a question. Would you care if they decided to unretire 56 from Lawrence Taylor or 10 from Eli Manning? If your answer is no, then why are you okay with them doing this to Ray Flaherty, who was not just the first Giants number retired, he was the first number across the professional sports world retired? You should have just left it as no and moved on from there. As I said, it's not going to mean a thing when it comes to wins and losses are concerned for the New York Giants. But I just thought this was awfully handled by John Mara. I give Malik Nabers a lot of credit. His comments since then saying, I understand the responsibility. I will do everything in my power to honor the Flaherty family and this organization. He seems to have handled this well. Now, maybe he should have gone the route of, once he was told no, figured out another number that would have really been okay with. I mean, these players, they're so egotistical that they're way too concerned with their number, whether it be for marketing reasons or whatever it be, jersey sales, whatever is the reason. For the Giants' sake of things, for the Mara family side of things, thought that this could have been handled better. Once you were told no, you should have just moved on and made Malik choose another number, not put the Flaherty family in an uncomfortable position. And I'm starting to wonder which family owning a team in this area is worse. Because we used to say that it was James Dolan was the worst owner in all of New York, New Jersey sports. But he's seemingly backed away. He has seemingly let the basketball people run things. And now the Knicks are kind of viewed as the model franchise in New York sports. They're not so much the ownership that you hear getting cursed off on a daily basis. Now it seems like it's a battle between three. The Johnsons, which, I mean, Woody Johnson and Christopher Johnson are thinking of a new way how to be stupid as we speak. Just mentioned the Maras. And then there's the Steinbrenners, who clearly, as George Steinbrenner was passing away, he made Hal Steinbrenner promise that Brian Cashman has a job for life. Because as you all know, I am not a Brian Cashman fan, never have been, never will be. Dislike the job he's done as general manager, despite the fact that they've never had a losing season under his tenure as GM. He has left a lot to be desired and has talked way too boastfully about himself for a guy whose 5 World Series title rings, 4 were built by Gene Michael, and 1 in 2009 was bought by adding the 3 most expensive free agents available at that time. He has not been a good drafter, has not been a great developer, and I don't care that they have the 3rd highest percentage of players to come out of their system playing in the big leagues right now. You look at it. He drafted Aaron Judge, good, in 2013. But after that, what are you hanging your hat on? Anthony Volpe? Brett Gardner? They damn sure haven't drafted and developed pitching very well outside of a few relievers, that being David Robertson and Dellin Betances. And we've seen him hold back on either trading a prospect when they still have value or bringing them up because he's afraid of hurting the feelings of a veteran. Well, we've seen that latest example this past week because on Sunday, September 1st, the rosters in the big leagues expand from 26 to 28. And there was an expectation when the rosters expanded that the Yankees were going to promote 21-year-old phenom Jasson Dominguez. Well, that didn't happen. They announced Anthony Rizzo coming off of the IL. They brought up pitchers Ron Marinaccio and Scott Effenross, and then added a light-hitting outfielder, Duke Ellis, just to be an occasional pinch runner. And then we got to hear this crap from Boone saying that Dominguez is still in the conversation. He'll remain in the conversation going forward. If he comes up here, you're going to want him to play every day. So he'll continue to remain in the conversation. A lot of lip service, a lot of crap that he's putting out there. There's a clear solution to this right here, right now, and they're not willing to do it. and that's bench Alex Verdugo. Y'all realize that Alex Verdugo, since June 1st, has been awful. He's got an on-base percentage of .273. That ranks 136th amongst 146 qualified MLB hitters. He has one home run in the second half of this season. I was there for that, a ball that barely went over the wall against the Colorado Rockies. He ranks 6th amongst all outfielders in the big leagues with a 48.7% ground ball rate. And on top of that, he has a very sluggish body language. He seems dejected half the time out on the field. I mean, they want to talk about his defense. Please, his defense has gone down each and every single month since he's been here. And it's not like you're married to this guy for a long time. This is his walk year, and he's having as bad a free agent year as I can remember a player having. You start doing a lot of the dirty work, a lot of the research here, you would realize that the Yankees are trying to play some games here. The Yankees are trying to be obnoxious with this situation, trying to make sure that Jasson Dominguez does not go past his rookie status here in 2025, meaning right now, between the 7 games he played last year and the 1 game he's come up to play this year, he's got 35 big league at-bats. He will continue to have rookie status in the major leagues, provided that he does not exceed 130 at-bats. If they keep him under 130, that makes him eligible for the 2025 Rookie of the Year award. Keeping him a rookie another year would allow the Yankees to receive a draft pick after the first round in 2026 if he wins the 2025 Rookie of the Year award. Now, even though he began the year on the MLB injured list, they can't increase their spot in the first round of the draft. There's no prospect performance incentive because he's had at least 60 days of big league service. But they can get that extra draft pick after 2026's first round in the draft. They can't do it in 2025 because of his big league service time this year. But as long as he remains a rookie for next year, they can impact things in the 2026 draft. Does that not sound completely stupid? Does that not sound completely foolish? The fact that you're more concerned with what you could possibly do in the 2026 draft than helping this team right now. Mind you, this is a team that has not been great at drafting over the years. Just detailed that a few moments ago. And we've seen countless times in these drafts where the better players, the guys that turn into future All-Stars, MVPs, possible even Hall of Famers, are coming later in the draft, and the guys that are the ballyhooed, talked about first and second round draft picks are never heard from again after some of these drafts in certain cases. It is the biggest crapshoot in all of the professional sports drafts. This is more to do with the fact that they are afraid of hurting Alex Verdugo's feelings, and they don't want a moody little brat on their bench for the final month and a half of this season going into the postseason. Well, hey, last week you finally cut the cord and decided you had enough of not wanting to hurt DJ LeMahieu's feelings. He hasn't played since the Washington series last week. So why can't you do that with Verdugo, who, at least with LeMahieu, you still got to pay him for the next couple of years. Verdugo, you owe him nothing. He's not a long-tenured Yankee. He's not going to be here beyond this year. Bring this kid up. Give him some experience. He could grow and get better playing around both Aaron Judge and possibly the one and only year you have Juan Soto. But instead, the Yankees are stubborn and want to just rely on a veteran, despite how awful that veteran is and how much of a negative vibe Alex Verdugo brings this team.
I'll be back.
Clearly, it pays to be an NBA player. Clearly, it pays to be a great NBA player. Especially someone of legendary status. Because even as you get older, as your skills start deteriorating, you still can get paid major buck. I mean, hell, look at what Chris Paul's been making the last 5 years, and he's a shell of himself. But we are still very fortunate to witness on a night-in, night-out basis greatness from Steph Curry. And the Golden State Warriors wanted to make sure that that greatness remains on display throughout his entire career in a Golden State Warriors uniform. Last week, they added 1 year onto his contract that originally was going to run through the 2025-2026 season, but now have added 1 year to it for $62.6 million. Damn. With this deal, Curry will become the fourth player, along with LeBron James, Paul George, surprisingly, and Kevin Durant, to pass $500 million in career earnings. Remember, he could only sign a 1 year deal because of the NBA's over 38 rule, which prevents teams from offering contracts of 4 years or more to players who are or will be 38 during that deal. It's funny to think about now, but remember, early in Steph's career, he was dealing with ankle problems. We thought he was going to be nothing but an injury risk, nothing but a guy that was unreliable when it comes to durability. But he's gone on to become the greatest shooter in the history of this sport. Hell, in his 15th season in the league, he still averaged 26 points a game, shot over 40% from behind the three-point arc, dragged the team kicking and screaming that had really no right to be in even one of those play-in spots to a play-in game that they would get smoked by the Sacramento Kings. Now, if you're the Warriors, as you're heading into these aging years of Curry and Draymond Green, you need some of these young guys to really step up. And the pressure is going to be on Kuminga and Podziemski, who they pretty much drafted to be the Klay Thompson replacement. But they can rest assured that they are going to continue to witness the greatness of Steph Curry going forward. And I've said this a couple weeks ago after Team USA won the Olympic gold medal. Sit back and appreciate this, folks. Enjoy it while it's here. Steph Curry changed this sport for, in some cases, the worst, because there's some guys that are shooting threes that shine it. But he's brought a level of excitement to this sport, a level of energy to this sport that we will never see again. A level of enthusiasm. And just when I was a kid, I can remember everyone wanting to say, I want to be like Mike. Well, the kids of this generation going forward are going to say, I want to be like Steph. They're not going to say that they want to be like LeBron, because that's physically impossible. LeBron is such a large human being, and he's almost a freak of nature doing the things that he can do. But Steph Curry, being such a relatively small guy, it gives people hope. It gives people something to be inspired by, something to say, hey, I can do that. I can be that kind of player and shoot for that kind of greatness. Maybe someone like Steph Curry is what has inspired Caitlin Clark to become very fast one of the many faces of the WNBA. And folks, if you're not watching Caitlin Clark, you're really missing out. She put on another show on Sunday, leading her Fever in victory over the Dallas Wings, and that has pushed the Fever over the 500 mark for the first time in 5 years. The last time they were over 500 was when they started off 2-2 in the 2019 season. I remember, this was a team that got off to a 1-8 start. We thought they were very quickly heading toward being one of the worst teams in the league. And she was going through her rookie growing pains. But since then, she has started to kind of calm things down. I said this about 2 weeks ago. I thought that having that break for the Olympics was the best possible thing that could happen to her physically and mentally, because she had no break coming out of the college basketball season. Even though she probably deserved to be on Team USA, she needed to hit the reset button even here in her rookie year. And now you're seeing it. Even some of her teammates are stepping up around her. This girl, Kelsey Mitchell, she can play. She is a baller. Maybe not at the same level as Caitlin Clark is and will be, but she's got her Robin to Caitlin Clark being Batman. And then the two of them together are leading this Fever team right into being in playoff position, leading this team to being one of the most exciting shows in all of sports. You look at this last week that Caitlin Clark has had, 28 against the Wings. That's coming off of a 31-point performance against Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky, as the Sky kind of start to slip down and risk missing the postseason. The Fever have been probably the hottest team in the league since coming back from the Olympic break, going 6-1 in that time span. And now they're going to be coming back to what is hopefully jam-packed crowds in Indiana starting tomorrow night as they begin a stretch of 6 consecutive home games. She's setting records all over the place. Rookie assist record, closing in on a single season assist mark. Rookie records in scoring. She's scored or assisted on 37.3% of the Fever's points this season. And if she maintains that pace, that will be a new WNBA record. Just remarkable what we are seeing out of Caitlin Clark. You hope that the league starts to be a little bit more protective for her, because she's also setting records on the number of flagrant fouls she's taking on a regular basis. Maybe it's some kind of jealousy. Maybe it's some kind of immaturity from the other players. But they got to realize she's bringing more attention to television screens. That means not just more attention on her, but more attention on the league in general. More people are viewing you gals play basketball than they ever were before. Yeah, you don't want it to just be all about her. You want to show that you can play. You want to show that you're awesome at your craft. But realize that that attention that you're now seeking, that attention that is now being brought upon you, is in large part thanks to her. So hopefully some of the hate that's being thrown around the league with players taking these cheap shots, some of the hate that's coming from some of these analysts out there, like I don't know if it's jealousy, whatever it is, why Cheryl Swoops does not want to give Caitlin Clark any credit. Whatever the reason may be, why she seems to have this animosity toward Caitlin Clark, I'll never understand. That's her business and hers alone if she wants to share it. But the rest of the WNBA needs to acknowledge and appreciate what she has brought, because she has brought a whole set of new eyeballs to television sets, and attention that I'm concerned is eventually going to get kind of canceled out. Because the one thing that the NBA has going for it when it comes to the NFL is other than Christmas Day, they really don't go up against each other. Their playoffs are nowhere near each other. There's about a 4-month difference between the Super Bowl and the NBA playoffs, and then you got that 8-month wraparound there from the NBA playoffs to the Super Bowl. So Christmas Day is the only day where they're really, truly competing against each other. And the NBA doesn't try to go really hardcore with its Sunday schedule during the NFL season. But I'm worried with the NFL coming back, that's going to take away some of the shine from the WNBA. A lot of this newfound love and appreciation that has been brought upon this league. And I hope that all of the energy, all the emotional uplift that is around women's basketball doesn't die and go away because of the NFL coming back, because it's been a fun sport to watch. It's been a fun sport to really start to pay attention to, start to enjoy. But like I said earlier, nothing can beat the NFL. Nothing beats our excitement that surrounds us on an NFL Sunday. And ladies and gentlemen, after 6 months of waiting, after, in some cases, in some fan bases, like mine, who haven't seen their team play since last December, it's finally back. It's finally returned. Thursday night, 8 o'clock, Chiefs-Ravens. Friday night, Eagles-Packers from Brazil. Sunday, you got a full slate of games. And then Monday night closed out with 49ers versus Jets out in Santa Clara. Oh, I am so excited. I can't wait. And once again, these next couple days are going to show us all why we love football and why we're so glad to have it back. And that, my friends, was Keeping It Sports with M3 for Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. Everyone, please have a great night. Have a fun, safe, happy, healthy week. You get one life, people. Please try to live it up as safe as humanly possible. And I'll talk to you guys again, same time next week. Until then, peace.
We have to go. Good night, everybody.
I have had enough of you!
Thank you for all the fun. Thank you. Hey, shut up, will you?
I don't want to see you, I don't want to hear you, I don't want to smell you. Now leave. I'll be back.